Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Collards
and Curry
podcast. I guess, according to this mug that we got in the mail, I'm your co-host, Pierre Quinn.
Thank you, Chloe, for the mugs. They're so cute, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, you want to tell them who you are? Because I said I'm your co-host,
the
Pierre
real
Quinn.
host. That's what it says, yeah.
That's what I'm your host, Pierre Quinn.
I'm the real host, Colleen Alexander.
Okay. And we're here for another episode of our podcast. We want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. Your support has been incredible on social media, on Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, however you consume.
The list continues.
Yeah. However you consume podcast content, we thank you for hanging out with us. So this episode of the podcast, we're going to jump right in. You know, for those of you who have listened to Collards and Curry before, you know we got three sections. We talk about fun, we talk about focus. That's mental health, and we talk about faith. So let's jump right into our conversation about fun stuff. Where you want to go with this one?
What about this past weekend?
Okay, so this past weekend, we're recording this episode between Christmas and New Year's. So we just came off the Christmas holiday.
How many movies we'll watch?
Oh man, 3? We watched
Crudes.
We watched Crudes. Did we watch that before Christmas?
Before.
Okay, we watched Crudes. Yeah. We watched Soul, and we watched Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell everybody why movies are like a big thing for you.
For me?
Yeah.
I guess growing up in Brooklyn, New York, having 7 girls, my dad, was always concerned about our safety. So movies kind of became our thing. We even had a platinum membership to Blockbuster.
Now, some of y'all are like Blockbuster. If you're older and you're listening to this podcast, you know what Blockbuster is. If
Saturday
you're younger,
night.
You have no idea what Blockbuster is. And Blockbuster was a video store. It's where you would go in the beginning to rent VHS tapes. Later on, it was DVDs.
Yeah.
But you would rent them over the weekend and would be a limited supply.
Mm-hmm.
Of
you got to get there.
Now, how far did y'all live from Blockbuster?
It was down the block.
Like give me how much time would it take to walk to Blockbuster?
Less than 5 minutes.
Okay, less than 5 minutes to Blockbuster.
Yeah.
All right. And how would you feel when you got to Blockbuster and like all the new releases or movies you wanted to watch were out?
Well, it was kind of like a tradition. Saturday night after church, since we went to church Saturdays, we would head to Blockbuster to get movies for the night. So you planning to get like 3-4 movies to hang out for the whole night because that was kind of your thing you did for the weekend.
Okay.
So yeah, you try to get there early enough so the good DVDs aren't gone. But sometimes you get there, you look behind the case of the DVD.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yep.
And before DVD was VHS, they would put the case of the movie, the VHS case or the DVD case up front, and then the movie would be behind. And if you wanted to rent that movie, you would reach behind it and take that to the counter.
They'll have like 3-4 copies of the movie behind the case. Yeah.
Do you remember, I don't know if it was like this for you at Blockbuster, but we had Blockbuster, which was like across town. And we had like this bootleg video store that was next to the liquor store that everybody, like cars would pull up and just be there all night long.
We had one bootleg place that was on the block too. Now we have a laundromat there, but that place was suspect.
Was sketchy.
So the guy there, he was kind of weird. But that's when we had VHS tapes.
Yeah.
We would go there.
Did you have to pay fines?
Oh yeah, Blockbuster. Even though we lived right there, we paid fines.
Okay, so there were late fines, and then there was if you don't rewind the tape.
Oh yes, with the VHS tapes.
we go charge you $1, and they had that rewind machine on top, and they would pop the tape in there and it'd take like 30 seconds. And I was like,
my goodness, I remember that.
Why are you charging $1? Capitalism.
Trying to make a buck. They're trying to make a buck, but. Yeah, that was kind of a thing why we love movies so much. So.
Okay, all right.
It was kind of, I guess, an escape from city life.
Okay, so you guys double, triple down, quadruple down. No, you were like platinum.
Platinum members.
What does
man.
that mean? What did a platinum membership
members?
afford
I
you?
mean, you get discounts. You get free movies per month. So, and they give you a platinum card, like it says platinum member.
So you'd be excited to go to Blockbuster and everybody's in line.
Yep.
And you whip out your platinum card.
People knew us by name at the Blockbuster store. Yeah.
All right. So now what with the apps that we have, the streaming apps, you just click a movie.
You're in bed, you just put on Netflix. Yeah.
And the thing about going to get a movie on the weekend from a video store was that in some cases, even when you didn't get a good movie, going to the store and being there and kind of...
It was an experience, because you'll see people from church, you'll see your friends from school, you get your candy, your popcorn. Yeah.
Okay. So we didn't have to go to a video store to watch the movies that we watched.
Now you got what? You have HBO Max, you got Hulu, Disney Plus, Netflix. And now instead of memberships, you could share your memberships with people.
By your powers combined, I am the same price as cable. That's and share it is.
Yo, you finished watching that movie?
Absolutely. It doesn't make any sense for one person to pay for all the apps when you share the cost or share the experience across your family. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, some people upset that we changed passwords because you got our information. We don't know how you got it. So we try to change these passwords fairly often. So which movie you want to talk about that we watched?
Maybe Soul.
Okay, Soul was it? Okay.
The movie was good.
The movie was
What would you give it out of 10? I give it a solid 7.
What are we rating it on? So, okay, I'll give it a 7.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 7.
We're talking about storyline, of course,
story was
interesting, and that kind of stuff.
I don't want to ruin the movie for people who haven't seen it. I know
we won't do that.
Some people don't watch movies, or they wait a long time before they see them.
Yeah.
So I don't want to ruin the movie, but it was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And you know me, I'm a skeptic, so I analyze just about everything.
I would say definitely not a kids movie.
That's
a lot of adult themes in there.
Most animated movies are not kids movies.
They put in so much adult stuff. It's like it goes over the kids' heads.
It has a lot to do, and we talk about belief here on the podcast. It has a lot to do with belief systems.
Yeah.
We'll just put it like that. Yeah. A lot of it was what do you call it when a whole bunch of things come together? I don't know. I'm supposed to know. Like I'm supposed to have words for this, but it's like a mix of a lot of different belief systems in this particular movie.
Yeah.
You're dealing with like meaning
lots of
life.
Worldviews coming together,
Reincarnation. There's some destiny in there. So, I mean, it was interesting.
It was interesting
to watch. I know I just have to watch how I try to analyze the movie out loud with the family, and sometimes
you do.
I know that's annoying, but it's good to really ask every piece of media you consume. You got to ask, like, what's
the real message?
What's the real message? How are they trying to shift my worldview? How are they trying to challenge my thinking? And be cognizant of that process that's actually happening. No, not just movies. I mean, television shows, commercials,
everything you look
music.
At. Yeah. It's definitely something you need to talk to your kids about. I think have conversations about. It's crazy the themes they have in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, okay, if I was a kid, I would have a nightmare after watching this.
There were some parts of it that were really,
really dark.
They were very dark, edgy. And I mean, it's animated, and Pixar is very good at that. They are very good at their marketing to kids.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these movies along the similar lines of challenging worldviews and belief systems and themes and constructs.
Yeah.
So what's really important, I think, I don't know how other people feel about it, but I think it's really important to teach our children how to recognize, how to discern certain things, and how to make decisions for themselves, because they're going to encounter that in life. We won't always be there. And I think sometimes we say, live in a cocoon or a bubble and pretend like it doesn't happen without giving people the tools to navigate, not just movies.
Yeah, because you have to live.
Yeah.
You have to live and interact with people. So you can't just pretend, okay, this isn't going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's one thing about movies, us watching movies, not necessarily the movies themselves, but by watching movies that kind of gets my goat. And it's y'all and that doggone popcorn.
Why?
First of all, I'm trying to figure out, we got so many bags of popcorn. Why y'all fight over popcorn?
I don't know. It's like it tastes better when you fighting.
Pop a second bag. Like, why does nobody want to pop a second bag of popcorn?
It's like when you pop the second bag, like half of the bag remains uneaten. So it's like,
okay. So you rather just fight over one bag? I don't even rock with popcorn like that.
No,
that's between you and the girls. But
it's become. I never used to like popcorn like that, but it's like my snack now.
Okay, all right.
My go-to snack, I guess, for nighttime.
Well, y'all can have that fighting over popcorn.
But the one thing I have to say about the movie, I loved seeing, the black characters. That was so nice to see the leading characters in the movie
throughout the whole movie.
Yeah,
now, I got some issues with that in terms of how the movie played out.
Yeah,
and some of the visuals. I won't ruin it if you haven't seen the movie, but I took some issue with
and
that
overall,
representation.
The lesson was good, making the most of life.
Making the most of life was a very good lesson. Very good lesson. So speaking of making the most of life, let's talk about this focus piece on this episode. There's a thing that we do. I know it happens in minority culture. I know it happens for you in Caribbean culture, for me in African American culture. It's like a thing. We wear this badge of honor of, I don't quite know the term of it, but like we wear exhaustion. We wear like hard work as like this badge of honor. So much so that, sometimes if you know a person who's like working 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet and they're consistently struggling, we like to say, man, but they're working so hard, and we applaud the hard work and not necessarily the outcomes. And I know we need to be not committed to outcomes and work hard, but I don't know. Why do you think we put such a badge, even we celebrate even working hard in the wrong areas or even for the wrong reasons? I don't know. Like Caribbean life, how do y'all wrestle? How do y'all wrestle with that?
It's definitely there, I would say. It's like, especially for those of us who migrated to the United States, it's like you have no other choice. You got to find a job, go to work. And kind of the thing about it, I think it's that many times when we do that, it's to the neglect of everything else. So it's like there's nothing wrong per se with working hard. Yeah. But something else is being sacrificed in most cases.
There's this idea that families back in the day were, I guess, stronger, communicated better, handled problems better. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a research scientist or not a social scientist, but I wonder if kind of the adage of the male going out to work in the factory or the hard job for 8 hours a day, and there were no phone calls to the office. Yeah. There were no text messages.
You're not getting a call the middle of the day.
There was not. If dad had to leave work, it was a problem. So the male in many contexts was away from his family for 8 hours a day. You come home, there's some dinner, and then there's this idea, or at least in the families that I was connected to and what I saw in my own family, there's this idea of now you need to give him space. Yeah. Because he's worked so hard
much,
all day.
Yeah, but many times it's like we fail to realize you do that. Dad loses somewhat of a connection to the family system. So mom is left to kind of take care of the household on her own. Yeah. So I guess it's over time things have changed for families. Where we see more now, moms still have to do that, take care of the family, and be outside of the home. So it's a lot.
So from the female perspective, then how do you see that being handled today with the badge of exhaustion for like the modern woman in a modern context?
I think it goes back to always dealing with that pressure and expectations on us. It's like you can't get away from it. It's either you're going to be a stay-at-home mom. People say, okay, you lazy, you home, you don't want to get out and work. Or then you go and you try to work, you have a career, and people saying you're neglecting your family. So it's always someone's expectation on you. That's why I think we have to come to a place where we kind of figure out what it's going to be for us, for our family, what works for us. And that's kind of like what we did for our family through the years, I think.
And that expectation piece is like super huge. I mean, we're wrestling with expectations of each other, cultural expectations, societal expectations,
just bombarding
family
us,
expectations. The whole idea of, at 39, there's this frame that I should have, by the age of 39, have X, Y,
well, I
and
was
Z.
talking to you about cognitive distortions, where we put, you should be doing these things. You should be able to do this. But many times, I mean, those are unrealistic things we put on ourselves to try to keep up with society. Like, okay, at 40, you should have a house, 2 cars, a dog, 6 kids, or how many kids, and be happy, be the best wife.
Be in great shape.
Yeah, it's like...
everything needs to be kind of... And I wonder, who is that for? Like, who's it
created for? Yeah.
What's the framework? Because I know people who check off all of those boxes and are happy, they're mentally healthy, they have strong families, committed communities that they're a part of. And I also know people who check off those boxes and they are miserable beyond compare. And it's like, who are you doing the things for? Like, a lot of times there's this movie from back in the day, and I say back in the day like it was a long time ago, but a few years ago, called Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Yeah, I remember
was
that.
David Duchovny? I don't know if he was in the movie.
And Demi Moore, I think was in there.
So.
Yeah, I remember
it was
that.
this idea that they had moved to a town and they had the best and latest and greatest of everything, but they were hired by, I think, a marketing firm. To market these different products.
Influence the neighborhood.
I mean, listen.
That's what we live with.
Marketing.
Yeah, that's what we live with. From the time you wake up, it's like you turn on your TV.
Yeah.
It's there in your face. You got to have this to be happy. You got to be this size to be happy. It's
like everything is coming at you in a 30 to 60 second commercial and a 30 to 60 second ad between YouTube videos. It is meant to suggest that something about your life is horribly bad and you won't find fulfillment until you get this thing. And then when you get the thing, you're like, man, that was it.
Yeah. So how do you think people should go about trying to reach that point of figuring out for themselves what it should be?
I think it comes down to, for yourself, establishing what your priorities are. I think for a lot of us, we fly wildly because we don't have an established set of priorities. We're just picking outcomes based on what we see everyone else has.
And also, I think it's too, if we've seen those behaviors in our family, it's hard to get away. Like, no, I'm just going to stick with being in this field when your passion is somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's hard.
We tell people that the value, it's pumped into to young Black kids all the time.
Yeah.
Go to school, get a good job, X, Y, and Z. And we're not taught the delicate balance between pursuing what allows you to take care of your family and what allows you to find fulfillment.
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many people have that midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Because they've been working in a career for 15 years. They're not fulfilled. I think that's why you see so many people at 40 become entrepreneurs or sometimes do really dumb stuff.
Yeah, you're like,
because
what?
they're like, I've been trying to keep up
They
with this
didn't
merit
take
badge.
the time. Yeah, they didn't take the time before to actually explore, man, what do I like?
Or who am I?
Who am I? That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I know, identity. Like, who am I as a person? What are my likes?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just a race that life says, just get out there.
And it's interesting, like in consulting work and in professional development and training work, you can get paid a very good amount of money simply by, I tell people all the time, I do for adults what kindergarten teachers did for kindergartners.
Mm-hmm.
We teach you how to play nice.
Mm-hmm.
And
direction, right?
And respect everybody else's differences. Because that's what a
you
lot
go
of times
in and help people do.
In conflict and workplace conflict, that's what it is. We're different.
Yeah.
And I think it should be this way. You think it should be that way. And if we can just have a conversation about our differences, we can have a better organization.
But just think, if we're a group of people who've never thought about ourselves and the things we like, we're meeting up other people, we're going to buck. Yeah.
which makes the hard work badge even more prevalent, because we say, man, here's how I'll get through it.
Yeah.
I'll just do more.
I'll do more. I'll do this. Maybe this person will see what I'm doing and give me some recognition. Yeah.
So, man, we just want to challenge you who are listening to this podcast to begin to work through. I mean, it's
ask
heavy.
yourself those questions. Yeah. It's okay to kind of just take some time. Who was it that talked about the vision thing where they went away and they thought about their life, vision planning? You remember we read the book and we said we were planning to do that as a family?
Yes, a couple of them.
I can't remember.
The one that's coming to mind for me is Michael Hyatt and David and Daniel Harkavy.
Maybe
Life Planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple's book we read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, book recommendation, real quick, before we hit our last point on this episode. It was a book you wanted to share.
Oh yeah, a book I'm reading now with some friends by Brene Brown. The Gifts of Imperfection, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, great book for any person to read. It's a great book to start the year off. Reading this, it really help you to explore as an individual some of the things that we're pressured to fulfill as a person. Yeah. But it helps you to identify what I need to do to live a more fulfilling life.
We'll drop a link in the show description. Brene Brown, Gifts of Imperfection. Okay, so in the time that we have left on this particular episode, let's talk about this final category that we always talk about on the Collards and Curry podcast, this aspect of faith. Yeah. And really,
it's been a challenge this year, man.
Let's talk about, we got about 6 minutes to do it. Let's talk about how we wrestled with our faith in 2020.
I think one of the biggest things for me was staying connected. Yeah. Yeah. With not just, I think for my personal life, my personal spiritual life, I was okay, but staying connected with my church family and especially with the transitions that we've been going through. Yeah. It was pretty difficult, I think.
Yeah, we keep saying we're going to do a full podcast episode about that particular transition. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, this is your first time hanging out with us, and we made a pretty big transition. October 2019, we left full-time pastoring as a pastoral family, and I went to full-time entrepreneurship with amazing prospects and everything ready for 2020.
Yeah.
And then we got hit hard with
COVID. Was like,
COVID.
Hey, Pierre.
COVID like, what's good? Y'all good over there? Well, you're not going to be good. And then just kind of wrestling through how we pivot, how we reestablish business and connections. And the big part of it was faith. We had a lot, man. Listen, I had a lot of questions, a lot of days of, okay,
Lord, what's it going to be?
Lord, what's it? I ain't going to say it no more. Like, and I think for a lot of us, we forget that our situations aren't unique. We're unique, but our situations aren't. Let's go back several years ago to the downturn in the economy, and people lost jobs, got laid
homes
off,
foreclosed. Yeah,
but that was also the time that some of the businesses that are mainstays right now, they grew out of those times. And why do you think it's in like for a lot of us, when you hit that rough patch, that's when you're like, God, do you even care?
Yeah. But I think, many times we kind of get on people for having those questions.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's part of the process to ask. That's how you grow.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on, Lord? Like, things was going so well. Now this happened. It's like we 20 steps back.
20 steps backwards, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's okay. Many times we kind of paint things that it have to look a certain way. You got to put out these badges of looking brave and, everything is perfect. And when in reality,
you're blessed and highly favored.
You're suffering. Yeah. It's like, that's when you really need community.
Yeah.
To know that there are people you can go to when you're struggling to say, I'm here for you. It's going to be okay.
And your faith is not lost when you have moments where you don't feel good about what's happening.
Nope.
Like the normal, as our friend Dr. David Defoe says, the normal exigencies of life, and when they hit you and you respond emotionally, I don't feel good, this bothers me, I'm upset. That's not an indicator that you've lost faith. It's an indicator that you're a human.
Yes.
Dealing with human emotions.
So what do we do in those moments? We don't just stay in those. Yeah. That's the thing. You don't just stay in those things, but you find ways to kind of pull yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And community is one of those ways, which is why Worship and Word was so good, I think, for quite a few people.
Yeah, Worship and Word is a weekend, mostly Friday evening, sort of Bible study conversation that we've been having for the past several months.
Yeah.
We'll put a link we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well, so that you could check that out too. I think it calls us to really reassess what our priorities are when you're having challenges. What are the things that matter? And I think we almost make those trite. Like, you're having a rough time in this particular area. Yes. And over here, you got your family's good. You have friends you can hang out with. You have people you can call on. But for a lot of us, it's like, if we're not doing what we want in the area that we want to mail in the whole thing. And I feel like a lot of us in our personal spiritual journeys,
we want it to be a certain way.
We put God in the box of, God, if you're not helping me kill it in this area of life,
something gotta be wrong.
Something's wrong.
You're a horrible Christian. It's like, you ain't right with the Lord. You need to do this more. It's like, no, I'm human.
Yeah.
There are times I don't feel up to doing certain things. So.
And I want to challenge you for 2021 to recognize you are going to have rough days and difficult times.
Yeah.
And, for us, one of the things that came out of that rough patch was this series of conversations and this podcast.
Yeah.
Having open discussions and pushing our attention to different spaces. But in 2021, you're going to have rough days.
You will. But it's going to get better. We can't just think, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will get better.
It will get better. And a lot of it has to do with how you reflect and what your attitude is toward the things that are happening to you. So, 29 minutes later, we finished the podcast episode. So, any parting things before we let the people go?
No, just happy New Year to everyone, I guess. And I look forward to many more episodes. Happy New Year. And many more episodes. Yeah. From the host, Colleen Alexander. No, we need to take these mugs back and say co-host. I'm the real host. Thanks, Chloe. So, we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Collards and Curry podcast. Take care, y'all.